Hey guys, how are you? Welcome into the final edition of the Daily Juice podcast with me, Matt Perrault, as the host of this podcast. How are you? At Sports Talk Matt is my Twitter account. And so, I have a couple of things I want to say today. And look, if you're coming here just for the picks, let me get out of the way really fast because some of you will not care what I'm going to say. Some of you will. If you actually care about what I'm going to say, stick around. If you don't care, we're going 2 money line dogs. We're going Astros plus 1.5, half a unit. Padres plus 1.5, half a unit. Joe Musgrove's ERA on the road is pretty good. 1.7 on the road to 2.6 at home. Actually a better road pitcher than he is at home. So we're going plus money, Padres money line, Astros, Yankees, big game. 2 of the biggest games today on the docket. Taking the Astros at home to beat the Yankees today. So half a unit play, 2 plays, 2 years for the Daily Juice podcast. So there you go with the picks. Here's the message I want to say to all of you who have been listening to this podcast for a long time. 2 years. This podcast will be back tomorrow. There will be a different host hosting this podcast. This podcast is not ending. Me, as the host, is ending. So, look, that means there's a big change coming, okay? And for a lot of you, routine is what this podcast became. A lot of you are gonna, or have friends, aren't going to listen to this podcast until August or September. And you're going to go, what the heck just happened? Okay. That's fine. I understand that a lot of you who may go back and go, when was Matt's last episode? I have to go back and listen to it. But I could not be more proud than what we did in 2 years. And so let me just clear up a couple of things here. One, why am I leaving? I'm leaving because I signed a deal with a company called props.com. That company is where I work full time. And I had been shopping my other program called The Bostonian versus the Book for a year. I shopped that program to BettingPros. I shopped it to numerous outlets. And nobody said yes for a year. And then Props said yes. And I leave BettingPros with a tremendous amount of respect for what David Kim and his ownership group have done with this incredible site. Their technology is second to none. Their dedication to the user experience is second to none. Fantasy Pros has been epic, but Betting Pros is on its way up. More and more people are learning about Betting Pros. Many people learned about Betting Pros from this podcast, and that makes me incredibly proud. I'm proud that if you go on the YouTube channel, in terms of videos, this podcast is 10-to-1 views of the other products that are out there, other videos that are on the YouTube channel. You guys are coming to the Betting Pros YouTube channel to watch this podcast. And I'm incredibly honored for that because anyone can make plays. You know, Todd Furman had a great tweet today and said, the best sports gamblers in the world lose 45% of the time. It's a great reminder as to what this is. So how do we separate ourselves as hosts? What makes the Daily Juice the Daily Juice? What made Matt Perrault different hosting this podcast? Why did we get 6.4 million listens? And why did we get 1 million plus views in 2 years? Because I like to think that I can relate to you guys as people, and we did things that weren't your normal, here's the plays, I'm red hot, here's my double banger, my whale play, my double unit blah. We talked about people. You guys stepped up to the plate to help my family when there was someone who was sick. I'm going through some interesting things, so I don't know how really to describe what Daryl is anymore to me, but Daryl's a great person. And Daryl is sick. He's very sick with a serious brain tumor. And you guys raised $40,000 to help him. They lived on that money, guys. They lived on the money you guys raised to help them get through and still get through a really tough and awful experience. When it was time to raise money for the Ronald McDonald House, you guys stepped forward twice and did 2 amazing things. Raise money. I would be remiss if I'm not talking about TJ and Celia, 2 people I do not know personally. I have never met them personally, but I could call them today and they would do whatever they could do to help me out. That's incredible. They're in Illinois. I've never been to their bakery. I have to at some point. Need them to go give them both a huge hug to thank them for what they have done. So look, those things leave with me, okay? And I will have a different podcast, and those things will come with me because I feel like that's part of who I am and part of what we did here. But it doesn't mean the Daily Juice will cease or stop going. They'll go, and it'll be different. And maybe you'll like it better. I mean, I guarantee you the guy betting tomorrow is probably a better bettor than me, probably a better gambler than I am, okay? It's not what I get my worth off of, right? It's not what I need for validation. I like to be right. That's what I like to be right, 100%. I enjoy being right. It's a big part of what got me into talk radio. It's a big part what got me into sports talk and what got me into the ability to do sports gambling content. But it's more about the DMs. It's more about the stories about the mom who listens with her son who has Down syndrome. It's more about the dad who listens with his son and they don't get along. And the Daily Juice is what got them together, got them to talk, got them to have an experience. It's about the kid who has a learning disability and the kid who loves numbers and listens to the show for the numbers and goes and does the research and goes and talks to his dad. Says, hey, Dad, you hear about this? It's more about the fact that someone who was going under a procedure yesterday, someone was having surgery yesterday, and to help calm him down before he went into surgery and went underneath, what he listened to before he went underneath was the Daily Juice podcast. Those stories, those DMs, that means everything to me. Don't care what the numbers were, okay? You can talk about what I was good at, what I was bad at, sports I did well with, times we hit the weekly parlay and times we didn't, times we were red hot during the week and times we weren't, times we were hitting props and times we were not. There's a million podcasts out there that do exactly that, okay? That live by their record. My resume is all I've got. My record is my resume. And those people are great. I'm not downplaying them. That's fine. It's just not what I want to do or what I am about. I want to be about something bigger than that. I want to be about a connection. And what COVID taught me is how we're all longing for connection. We're all longing to be with like-minded people or to talk about things that aren't so damn heavy all the time because the world is heavy. So much going on right now is heavy. I'm 45 years old. I've lived through a lot of things in my life. I was on the air during 9/11. I was on the air during the Boston Marathon bombing. I've had all sorts of things in my life that, I've shown you guys this before, but that's the city of Boston. You're watching on video. That's tattoo, the city of Boston from the Boston Marathon bombing. I've been there through some really tough things and I've seen a lot at 45. And I know now through a pandemic that I never thought we would see. But to me, the Daily Juice podcast will always be something that I dreamt of. And when Dan Harris approached me in May of 2020 during the middle of a damn pandemic and said, hey, I got an idea. I heard you on a podcast. I really think you could do a good job with this. What do you think about doing this? And I was like, oh man, absolutely. I've always wanted to see if I could do this myself. It's a 10-minute, 15-minute podcast right in your inbox every morning. And it's just part of who I am now. I couldn't stop doing this if I tried. I mean, it's just in me. I think we missed 5 days over the last 2 years. I think it's what we missed. Mostly because I was either in the hospital or I had COVID, one of the two. So, I mean, you're talking about 700, whatever the math is, right? So you're talking 720. So like over 700 podcasts that this podcast has become. And we did 6.5 million listens or 6.4, whatever it is. I it's to this day, it's like, and people say that's underreported, by the way. I had somebody who DM'd me the other day and said, that the tracking for podcasts is like all messed up and way underreported. So like your 6.4 million could be like 20 in reality. Maybe. I don't know. All I know is I've got 15,000 followers on Twitter and I started this podcast. I think I had 4. So you guys paying attention to what I was doing and you guys wanting to know what was going on. My daughter, is now turning 8 at the end of the month. And I'm a proud girl dad and I'm a proud father. And it's the most important thing I do every day. But, in terms of rewarding experiences and what I get to do is when I tape this podcast at 11 o'clock, 10 o'clock Pacific time, whatever it is, and I go to sleep and I get up and you guys have thrown me a million different things in my DMs. Plays you like, plays, something I said wrong, something that you wanted to tell me, something you wanted to tip me off on, something that you wanted to donate, something that you wanted to be a part of. I mean, that's just amazing. Like, you're taking time out of your day to tell a story. Men, women, I mean, people think that sports betting is just like this male thing. It's not, okay? It's really not. It's becoming much more generational and much more people, men and women, old and young, who are all finding interesting things and fun things to bet on. And as betting explodes across the country, entertainment is what I always want this to be. Bankroll management, I will always preach bankroll management. I will always preach being secure with your money and safe, and don't lose anything you can't lose. Don't chase, be consistent, find the sports that work for you, and then take responsibility when you play it, when you bet it, whether I'm on it or not. It's my money. If I lose it, doesn't mean I'm losing your money. It's only you losing your money if you decide to play it. So always remember those things, right? Always remember parlays are a bad idea. If you're chasing with parlays, it's a bad idea. It's not something you want to do. It's going to hurt you in the long term, in the long run. But I cannot say this enough, and I can't say thank you enough to first Dan Harris, then to BettingPros, and thirdly, but not lastly, obviously, to you guys, the Juice family, and the guys on the Discord channel. D Nizzy has become this like cult figure on the Discord channel. It's been awesome. Cold Brewster, I met him here in Vegas. That was awesome to see him. As I said, TJ and Celia are just phenomenal people, and I haven't met them before, but I know they're phenomenal people with what they did, the number of hours they put in to send the cookies and to put them out, and the great cookies that they sent out. My daughter was like, that was the coolest thing in the world. We met somebody, we were walking into the gym here in Vegas. I was wearing a Daily Juice t-shirt. I think I told this story, but my daughter references it all the time. That we're walking in and wearing a Juice t-shirt, and the guy's like, I love that podcast. And I'm like, you do? And he's like, yeah, I love it. Listen to it every day. I said, I'm Matt. He's like, what? You're Matt? I go, yeah. He goes, hey. My daughter was like, he listens to the Juice? It was like this starstruck moment. It was like my daughter, everything crystallizes as like what her dad does. And it was just like a big, huge ego boost for me to have that happen in front of my daughter for the first time in Vegas. It was super fun and really cool. And I've seen people with pictures of their t-shirts in Canada, in Maine, Florida, Texas, California, all over the country. You guys have been a part of this, and I feel so lucky to be a part of this. So again, I'm not leaving on bad terms, and who knows, maybe one day my path leads me back to BettingPros. It's not impossible, okay? This industry is very small, okay? I'm not leaving on bad terms. I'm leaving because I offered them a chance to sign my other show. They said they were going to pass on it. Another person came in and signed it, and then I said, I'm only signing this if I can keep and work out my contract with BettingPros. And they said, thankfully, yes, you can work your contract out. My contract's over as of today. This is the last day of my contract. So because of that, we're done. I'm done. Daily Juice is not. Tomorrow morning, you will get another episode of the Daily Juice, just not with me as the host of the Daily Juice podcast. Again, the picks today, we're going Astros money line plus 105. We're going Padres money line plus 105. Both those plays can be found at BetMGM. That offer still will continue to be valid. You guys can go use it. Juice 150 promo code for a $10 bet to win $150. My name is Matt Perrault. You guys can follow me on Twitter at SportsTalkMatt. I hope you do. Please stay in touch. Please let me know what's going on with you guys. Please let me know where you're going to be and the picks you like. And, this is not goodbye. This is just, I'll talk to you in a different form, in a different place sometime soon. My name is Matt Perrault. For the last 2 years, this has been my pleasure. It has been my honor to do this podcast. And I thank you so much for giving two craps about the picks and plays and the thoughts and ramblings of some 45-year-old guy from Boston. Best to all of you. I hope I talk to you soon.